For 6 weeks, Cadet Emma Reeves was a ghost in the Galactic Military Academy's combat training program, while cadets from every corner of the Federation showed off their homeworld's fighting styles. Boasting about their species' innate advantages, Emma just watched. She sat quietly in the back during lectures, her pen scratching across her data. During sparring matches, her dark eyes followed every move, every feint, every strike, with an unnerving focus. She never asked questions, never offered a comment, and always politely refused to demonstrate any human fighting techniques. Instructor, a battle-hardened Krillian veteran of 3 wars, figured she was just scared. Humans were new to the galactic stage, and on paper, they were physically unremarkable compared to the powerhouses in his class. Then came the final practical examination. Cadet Reeves, Vergatha's voice, boomed across the training hall. You have observed for 6 weeks. Today, you will participate. As per Academy regulations, you will face our top-ranked combat student. From across the mat stepped Dracon, a Vraxian giant. 7 feet of corded muscle wrapped in natural bone armor. His species had supposedly conquered their planet's deadliest predators with their bare hands. He'd won every single match this quarter, most in under 30 seconds. Dracon looked down at Emma, all 5 feet and 4 inches of her, and let out a dismissive snort. Instructor, surely this isn't a fair match. I could accidentally injure the human. Emma remained silent. She walked to her corner, rolled her shoulders once, and settled into a relaxed stance that Vergath didn't recognize from any known fighting system in the galaxy. Standard Academy rules, Vergath announced. The match ends with submission, incapacitation, or a ring-out. Begin! Dracon exploded into motion, a blur of muscle and bone closing the distance instantly. All 4 of his arms reached out in a complex grappling pattern that had overwhelmed opponents twice his size. But Emma didn't retreat. She didn't dodge sideways. At the last possible microsecond, she stepped forward into the left, slipping right into the gap between his primary and secondary right arms. Her movement was so small, so efficient, it was almost lazy. What followed took exactly 2.5 seconds. Emma's left hand redirected Draken's incoming arm across his own body. Her right hand, moving like a striking snake, found a pressure point just below his third shoulder spot. According to all Varaxian anatomical charts, shouldn't have been vulnerable through his armor. Draken's entire left side went numb, as his Stumbeld thrown off balance by the nerve strike and his own forward momentum. Emma pivoted, her hip connected perfectly with his center of mass, and suddenly, the 7-foot Vraxian warrior was flying through the air. The throw was flawless, minimum effort, maximum result. He hit the mat with a thunderous crash that shook the entire training hall. Before Dracon could even register what had just happened, Emma was on him. Her knee was precisely placed on his primary breathing passage, her hands controlling 2 of his arms in a joint lock that made any resistance impossible. Tap or nap, she said quietly. They were the first words anyone had heard her speak in combat class. Dracon's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and newfound respect flashing across his face. He tapped the mat twice. Emery immediately released him, stood up, and offered a hand to help him. Dracon took it, completely speechless. The entire training hall was silent. Vergath's mandibles clicked, a sign of deep thought. Cadet Reeves, you've been watching for 6 weeks. Yes, instructor. You were analyzing combat styles, learning weaknesses, identifying patterns. Yes, instructor. That throw. That nerve strike. What fighting system was that? Judo for the throw, instructor. Kushajitsu for the pressure point. Both are from Earth. Vergath quickly pulled up Earth's martial arts database on his wrist display. His eyes widened as screens of data scrolled past. Karate, Kung Fu, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, Systema, boxing, wrestling. Hundreds upon hundreds of distinct, refined fighting systems. Your species developed hundreds of combat methodologies, he said, his voice laced with disbelief. Most species develop 1, maybe 2. We've had a lot of wars, instructor, Emma replied. her voice perfectly neutral. Against each other, mostly. Thousands of years of humans fighting other humans tends to produce very effective techniques. A small, trembling Pipoloid cadet raised a timid appendage. You've been fighting yourselves, your own species, for thousands of years. Still do, sometimes, Emma admitted, though we are getting better about talking things out first. Draken had finally found his voice. You knew exactly where my nerve cluster was. But how? Raxian anatomy isn't in the standard Federation database. I watched you fight 6 matches over 3 weeks, Emma explained calmly. In your 3rd match, you took a hit to that exact spot, and your left side slowed down for 0.7 seconds. I filed it away for later. You weaponized observation, Vergath stated, the pieces clicking into place. You sat here in silence, making everyone believe you were passive, maybe even afraid, while you were actually conducting tactical analysis on all of us. Emma offered a slight smile. My instructor back on Earth always said, the best fight is the one you've already won before it starts. I spent 6 weeks winning this fight. Instructor. The physical part was just confirmation. Vergath glanced at his class roster, noting 15 more human cadets were enrolled for the next quarter. All of them probably had similar training. All of them were likely conducting the same quiet, ruthless analysis. New class rule, he announced to the hall. Human cadets will participate from day 1. I will not have my other students ambushed by weaponized patients. As the class began to disperse, Drakan walked over to Emma. That nerve strike. You could have held it longer, made it much more painful. Why didn't you? Because you're not my enemy, Emma said simply. You're my classmate. The goal was to win the match, not to hurt you. Draken's respect deepened into something closer to it. Your species refined combat to that level, and yet you show such restraint. You could be the galaxy's most feared warriors. Emma picked up her training bag. We've been the most feared warriors, Drakon. On our own planet for millennia, we learned the hard way that just because you can hurt someone doesn't mean you should. She paused at the exit. That's actually the harder lesson. After she left, Vergath updated his instructor notes for the Academy archives. Human combat doctrine assumes enemies of equal or greater capability. It assumes prolonged conflict, and that adaptation is necessary for survival. I recommend advanced placement for all human cadets. I also recommend we never, ever make them our actual enemies. That evening, Emma placed a video call to her sensei back on Earth. Taught them about judo today. Master Tanaka, the elderly man on the screen, smiled warmly. And what did they learn? That the quietest person in the room might be the most dangerous. Good. That is the first lesson. And what is the second? Emma thought about Draken's respect, Vergath's fear, and the new way her classmates looked at her. That being dangerous doesn't mean you have to be cruel. Master Tanaka nodded, his eyes filled with pride. Now you are ready to teach, not just fight. The galaxy needs this lesson. Emma-san, show them our way. As Emma signed off, she had no idea that in his office, Instructor Vergath was rewatching the footage of her match over and over again, studying the quiet human girl who had just revolutionized his entire understanding of warfare. He was just beginning to realize that sometimes the greatest weapon is the one nobody ever sees coming. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.